My name is Jamillah Lang, and I played women's basketball from 1990 to 1994. Colorado recruited me my sophomore year in high school. My sophomore year in high school was the first year I actually played basketball. And they were very consistent throughout my high school years, and we were able to gain a rapport. Not only did they recruit me at a very early time in my career, I got a chance to watch the women's basketball team, and watching a college women's basketball team I had not done before. In fact, I wasn't really even considering playing basketball. I played tennis before basketball. Tennis was my #1 sport. I was a professional athlete in tennis. And so I just decided, one of the basketball coaches asked me if I should just try out for the team, and I said sure, and that's kind of how that started. And so I got a chance to really start going to games. So I went to a CU game against Kansas, and it was just overwhelming because the players were huge and they were tall and they were quick, and that time I wasn't really thinking that much about scholarships and things like that. I just was thinking about being competitive and enjoying the game of basketball. And that team went on to do really well in CU, and those people were like Bridget Turner, Spud, Roz. It was a lot of players that I really got a chance to, Crystal Ford, had a chance to really, hang out with and just kind of see what it's like being around them. And so that kind of led me to just really go into what schools I wanted to go to. Quick story with CU coming to my house. It was a thunderstorm, maybe a blizzard, I don't know. It was really bad weather and they couldn't leave. So we ended up spending hours at my house because they were stuck in a storm. And really got a chance to bond with the assistant coaches and stuff during that time as well. And that was huge and impactful. And then I came out here for a recruiting trip, and CU had laid out the red carpet really. And they had people in place for me that I didn't even know that I would need to have when I came to this college. They bring you down over the highway of 36, and all you see is the beautiful mountains, and they're like, hey, by the way, these red-capped roofs up here are all this Colorado campus. And I was like blown away. I was like, wow, this is huge. So once I got here, those people that I met on my recruiting trip were very supportive. They were always willing to help me with anything that I needed. People like Mad Dog, Theo Gregory, Dr. Miles, those people were very impactful in my career outside of my coaches. And then once I got into playing here, man, that was a wake-up call because I was an athlete already. I was a professional tennis player, and I was in very, very good health and good condition. But when I came here, it was the first time we actually did strength and conditioning training, and that was something completely new for me, and got a chance to really dig into my physical health. And so people like Mad Dog and Vern and Dave, our strength conditioning team at the time, were they had a huge impact on our progress at CU as far as being in shape. One of the things I learned quickly was the altitude and how damaging that can be for other people if you're not prepared. And Silberry, she prepared us as well as anybody could. And I think that's really my experience here during that time was just really impacted with some new things like my health and the people that I would need to support me along the way. Outside of that, my experience as an athlete and as a student was challenging. It was definitely challenging. When I went to some of my college classes, I was overwhelmed. There was 800, 900 people in my class, and I thought I was in a community conference or something. I didn't even know it was my class, and I was like, is this the right place? But I really learned, what helped me through that, being so overwhelmed, was the fact that I had academic advisors and people like that can really support me and get me through. And Silberry, she really pushed a culture of excellence, and that was on and off the court. So there was zero tolerance for not doing anything but the best that you can while you're here, physically, education-wise as well. So my experience here was amazing. It prepared me a lot for today and the things that I do today. I would probably have to say my senior year was probably the most memorable year. That's when we started building a really strong fan base, started getting sellout crowds and, you know, averaging 5,000, 6,000 fans a game. You know, my freshman year it didn't even look like that. But, you know, that was pretty amazing. My senior year, my last game that I would play at CU was also extremely memorable. I'm a pretty humble person, and I don't like a lot of surprises and things like that, but that day the crowd, they had all these J's in gold, and you know, we were playing, I can't remember what team we were playing because I was just overwhelmed. It was almost a sold out crowd, and when I walked the red carpet, they pulled up all these J's, these gold J's, and I have pictures of it, and it's pretty amazing. That year also a fan made a collage of everything that we at CU had done since my freshman year all the way into my senior year. So that was pretty amazing. That was like a gift of memories. And so I think the fan base just, you know, believe it or not, we did really well, but just having that support out there was the thing that just stuck with me for, you know, up until today. It was very challenging. I mean, women's sports in general had a lot to do, catch up to with the men. And so outside of the small community that I mentioned, as far as my academic advisors, my strength coaches, and my teammates and my coaches, it wasn't a lot after that. I mean, there's not a lot of places you can go to get support in regards to just being a minority. Whether that's trying to get your hair done or it's just trying to find something that you can relate to in this city. So it was challenging. The community partnerships and things like that were, you know, almost non-existent. But one of the best things about my coach at the time was she always put us in front of opportunities and things like that. So we were able to get with personality coaches, so we got to know more about ourselves as players and each other. My senior year, we got to introduce Magic Johnson to some executive team, and talk about team building. So I got an opportunity to see some really cool people. We also did a lot of things outside, like go support other women's or college or high school basketball teams, basketball camps, things like that. So as a team, we did a lot of stuff, but CU in general, there was not a lot of opportunities. There were not a lot of things that we could just have at reach if we needed them. After graduation, there was not a professional women's basketball team yet that had been created, so I was drafted to play overseas for a while. So I played in Sweden, Finland, Norway, and Denmark for a couple years, and then they started the ABL, the American Basketball League. And I got drafted to play in San Jose, California, and that was the first professional basketball team in the United States that had started. A summer later, the WNBA started. So that was pretty awesome. I mean, some of your big name people were in that league and then still are, you know, making an impact in women's sports and athletes today. So it was, you know, it's good times. Women's sports has changed tremendously. There's more exposure. There's, you know, in every sport, like in almost all sports, you're seeing a lot of exposure. Seeing a lot of exposure with the Olympic athletes, things like that. Women are getting televised games more often. It's not just if you're in the top 10 anymore or top 15. Now you can be not even in the top 25 in the polls and still be on television. And I think that is critical to the success of women's basketball and women's sports in general. There's a money side of things. Outside, when you get that exposure, you're exposed to more deals, you're exposed to different types of contracts that can range in many ways. And that just wasn't any opportunities for that during the times that I played from 1990 to 94. But you know, now they're getting paid. They have the NIL, they have the transfer. I mean, you could transfer schools and not have to wait out a whole year. They had a COVID season, so things have changed a little bit in regards to sports in general, but women's sports is starting to get more exposure, showing what our raw talent and things like that look like. And you had to be really, really, really good during my time to even be exposed like that. And now I feel like more and more women, even high school, is getting more exposure, and I think that's huge for women's sports. I've always been hopeful. I am an advocate for equality and inclusiveness. And you know, the one thing that we need to continue to do is continue to expose the amazing things that women can do, that women have done, and you know, how we're climbing the backs of some of those women that really paved the way for us. And I think that's critical and just growth. I'm very hopeful because now, not only with that exposure, they have voices. So you have people that can actually speak out against things that need to be spoken about. So I'm very grateful, I'm very happy, excited that we're getting that voice and we're being seen. And I think that it's just only going to open up things even bigger.